Hello vinyl community. Today I'm gonna do a video where I show you my recent vinyl finds. I haven't bought that many records this year so far, but I have at least a few cool records that I want to show today. And I'm doing this video to clear the table and show you everything that I bought this year before the big record fair that is here in Stockholm in the end of February. I always do this report video where I show what I buy and show you images from the record fair and stuff like that. So stay tuned for my next video. That's going to be a record fair report. And also, I'm celebrating 3,000 subscribers. That's a massive milestone in my channel, I would say. Pretty amazing that so many people have clicked that little subscribe button. So thank you to everyone for tuning in to my videos and for commenting. I always appreciate that. It's always good to get some feedback when you're doing something that, yeah. I should also say that after this record fair video, I'm going to continue doing my folk videos that I have started. They seem to be really popular. And the next video that I have in the pipe is progressive folk from UK and Ireland. And that's going to be a spectacular video where I'm going to show some grails almost, and really cool albums and cool rarities as well, with super great of this kind of progressive folk that was happening in the UK in the late 60s, early 70s. So hit the subscribe and stay tuned for that video. It's going to be awesome, I think. And I have also gotten an VCLT all the way from Canada. That's pretty amazing. Someone sent me some records and I'm going to show them at the end of the video. But now, let's just take a look at the records that I have bought so far this year. So the first record I got this year was from a local store here that I pass by every time I go home from work. It's called An Ideal for a Living. It's a great store. I picked up the debut album from John Cale, Vintage Violence. This is the UK press that came out in 1971. The US version is actually released a year earlier in 1970, but for some reason the UK release was delayed until 1971. And there he is on the back, together with a girl. After John Cale had been kicked out of Velvet Underground, he did some interesting things. He produced and arranged a couple of Nico albums, and he, of course, produced the debut album by Stooges. So he did a lot of interesting things before he did his first real solo album. And when this came out, some of his fans was probably a bit surprised, because John Cale, he was famous for doing this avant-garde music with Velvet Underground, and he has done all this drone music earlier on. So he was really associated with the avant-garde and with the experimental music more. But when this album came out, it was a totally different thing. This is more like a late 60s singer-songwriter pop rock album, art pop or soft rock or something. Really beautiful, well-crafted pop songs. And the songs are often beautifully orchestrated. So the production here is really polished and well executed. Yeah, great pop songs, basically, but with his special twist to it. And I actually think that John Cale's solo albums from the 70s are way more interesting than Lou Reed's albums from the 70s. But that's just me. Came out on the CBS label in the UK, these classic labels. 1971. And this UK version is not as expensive as the US first press with 2i Columbia. That one is pretty tricky to find here in Sweden. Was glad that I found this UK original.
Carelessly, a messy day with Clancy. Gideon lied, and Gideon died. The force of China felt. Gideon smiled.
The next one that I got was an online purchase, and I picked up a copy of Morrissey's Vauxhall and I from 1994. This is an album that I bought on CD when it came out in early 1994, and I have loved it since then. And it was released on these yellow-black Parlophone labels, retro design, and it was released in this gatefold cover with an image from Morrissey inside here. This is the back cover. This album came out in 1994, and during the summer of 94 I played this album. It was like a soundtrack to that summer for me. So I have a lot of nostalgic memories to this one. And that summer, 94, it was the World Cup in football, or soccer as you Americans say, and it was in the US. So it was this really hot summer, and we were staying up late to watch all the football games when Sweden were playing. And Sweden made it all the way to the semifinals, and then they won the match for the third place. So they finished third in 1994, and they had a great team. And it was kind of a magical summer. So during this summer, I played this album so much, and I just loved it. It has the big hit, The More You Ignore Me, The Closer I Get. Brilliant song. And it has one of my favorite lyrics. I will be in the bar with my head on the bar. Just brilliant Morrissey stuff. And I still think that this album really holds up well. To be honest, I think it's actually the first album where Morrissey really found his own voice, his post-Smith's voice. The albums he did right after leaving Smith's was basically more Smith's music. But on this album, I think he really found his own kind of voice, so to speak. The album before this, Your Arsenal, was produced by Mick Ronson and was much heavier or much more towards glam rock and stuff that Mick Ronson was into. But Mick Ronson died just before recording this album, so it's produced by Steve Lillywhite, I think. And it has a really different vibe. Much more softer songs, really melancholic songs about loneliness and songs about lost love, and it's a very romantic album. And it has so many great songs. Now My Heart Is Full, the opening track, is a brilliant song. The More You Ignore Me, The Closer I Get. I'm Hated for Loving. Just beautiful songs. And Lifeguard Sleeping, Girl Drowning, another one I love. And the end track, Speedway, must be one of the best songs featuring a chainsaw. It's just amazing. So I really think this album holds up, and to me, I think this is the best Morrissey solo album. And so it was really cool to find this as a UK original from 1994.
Said that they were completely unfounded.
You know, always when I find something on Discogs that I want to buy, I check that seller's inventory to see if I can add something to the order, maybe save on shipping and stuff. I'm sure you do that also. And when I bought the Morrissey album, I checked this guy, and I found an album that I was a little bit interested in, so I picked that up in the same order. And it's Merrell Fankhauser, Message to the Universe from 1986. Just look at this beautiful cover. He's standing out in the jungle and he's being beamed up by UFOs. Yeah, I love a cover like this. It's a bit goofy and it's weird, and it's things that I really love. Everything with the UFO I'm interested in. Pretty lame back cover here. But anyway, it was released on an album called One Big Guitar. Merrell Fankhauser, he was a big guy in the like psychedelic scene in the 60s. He had a Fapper Dockley band, and he has HMS Bounty, and he had the band called Moo, where they lived in Hawaii and played this kind of psychedelic rock type band. Great, great music from back in the days, but it's always interesting to see what those artists from back in the days were doing in the 80s. On this album, he is still doing this kind of psychedelic music with a strong UFO theme, but it's more like a yacht rock album combined with psychedelic rock. The sound here is very like 80s tape saturated vibe, if you know what I mean. A bit like playing the music on a VHS copy from back in the days with this like hazy sound, a bit muddy sound. And also he's using a lot of synths from the time, like Roland keyboards or Corey keyboards. I'm not sure what exactly he used here, but it gives it this kind of weird vibe where he's trying to fit into the 80s, but really not doing it, but he comes up with something a bit interesting. And there are some songs here are crap, I should say that, but there are also songs that are quite interesting, and mainly it's the instrumental songs. There's a song here called The Wind Cried Maui. That's a really cool one. And also the title track is really cool with this typical 80s synth VHS vibe that is pretty cool, I think. And also the songs have a strong like alien abduction, UFO kind of theme combined with living in the jungle or something. So pretty interesting album, cheap one. I'm always on the hunt for psychedelic music from the 80s. I think it's a really interesting period for psych music, especially when they try to do like contemporary psych music, not just like a retro band looking back at the 60s, but when you're trying to fit in the times but still make psychedelic music, there are some really interesting 80s bands that did some of that. And I think this one fits in that category. Another album that I picked up in a local record store here is Jimmy Campbell, Half Baked. This album on the famous Vertigo Swirl label that came out in 1970. You know, this is a UK Swirl edition with the inner sleeve here. It was in a gatefold cover with the lyrics inside here. Here's the man. And this is the second solo album from Jimmy Campbell. Before this album, he had been in a couple of bands, like 23rd Turnoff and the more power pop band Rocking Horse that I have been showing here on my channel before. But this album is more of a like singer-songwriter rock pop album. Some songs here are really, really great, and it's often like the ballads or the slower songs that has great instrumentation, great string arrangements, and sometimes his voice is a bit reverby, a bit trippy, and those songs are fantastic, I think. But there are some songs that I'm not a big fan of, especially there's one like a 50s rock pastiche. Sounds a bit like when John Lennon did his rock and roll album in the 70s. It's not for me. But the highs are really high, and there are some really great songs on this album. And this album cover was done by the photographer Keith, who did the first Black Sabbath album cover, and he did a lot of albums from Vertigo Swirl. And when you look at this, it's just, you see like two clowns. She looks like she's pregnant or something, I would guess, hence the title Half Baked. And this is a pretty boring album cover. But when you fold it out to see the full picture, You can see on the back here, there's a like dark figure walking, looking like death or something. And you have this black raven sitting there, which gives this like an ominous feeling to it all. And it gets way much more interesting when you look at the image, the full picture like this, I think, compared to when you just look at it like that. This was for a long time being considered to be one of the weaker albums on the Vertigo swirl. But I think that people have reconsidered it in later days, and many people praise this now and think it's a really great album, especially when you compare it to a lot of other albums on Vertigo that are just so-so, in my opinion. But this one holds up really well, and some songs here are really, really beautiful.
In my room, there's books of Somerset Maugham, of Evingstone and Oscar Wilde. There's poetry of my own, and I can be myself. In my room, there's imitation.
The next album I got is also from An Ideal for Living, my local store that I pass by every day. And I found a copy of Ween, Chocolate and Cheese, also from 1994. This is a US original with a hype sticker still on the shrink here. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of this cover, must say, but it's a pretty cool album. And the original idea for the artwork here, actually, when they have interviewed the guys in the band, they wanted like a gay sailor to be posing on the cover with this belt, the Ween belt. But the record labels thought that it wouldn't sell to have this like homoerotic album cover. So they put a girl there instead. And I guess the album sold better or something, I'm not sure. Came with inner sleeve, picture of Dean and Ween Jean. This was released in the CD era, so the vinyls often got a double LP. So there's two discs, and came out on this Grand Royal label. This is the first album where Ween went into a proper recording studio. Prior to this, they have been recording more lo-fi with a cassette tape in their home studio. So the earlier albums are way much more lo-fi. Here they are in a like more professional digital studio with more channels and everything, so they could add more instruments and do different type of music, or basically it's the same type of music, just better production. But this album is like all over the place when it comes to musical styles. We can go from like a funky beat with a Prince type vocals to like country music or like a Mexican ballad or a indie pop, or different styles. But despite all the different genres here, Ween could really like pull this together and release it as a kind of cohesive album anyway. It's typically Ween. They did different music styles all the time, and they were really experimental and playing around, just having fun making music. And there are some really, really cool songs on this album. Voodoo Lady or Freedom of 76 were, I guess, the big songs on this one. But I couldn't resist it, an original Ween that popped up in my local record store. So I just have to grab it.
Came into the room and you saw my girl, and you asked her how long it's been. A year, she said, and you shook your head. Said, I'm surprised it's gone on that long. Baby, 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 bitch.
I also went to this really small record fair that was in the beginning of the year. And I had high hopes, after Christmas, after New Year's Eve, you want to go back to buy records. But I was a little bit disappointed with that record fair. It was so tightly packed with sellers, and the lanes between the tables were so narrow and so many people, so it was like impossible to browse in anything. So I was a little bit disappointed, but it was great fun to meet up with, the usual suspects here in Stockholm, the record collectors that I meet at those fairs. But I didn't come home empty-handed. I picked up a copy of The Who, Quick One, in this absolutely stunning cover art. This is a Swedish release of their first attempt to do like a rock opera or something, the Quick One, that came out in 66 or maybe early 67, I'm not really sure. I couldn't resist this lovely cover, and it's actually the only single release of the song A Quick One, with the full length, the 9-minute version. But they have divided it so it's like part 1 on side A and part 2 on side B, and then we get an extra track, Sad About Us, also from the Quick One LP, also a great mod rock song. And I'm a big fan of The Who and their singles from the 60s. I like the mod era, The Who, and the psych era. They did some psych, yes, but not so much like their rock era that came a little later on. That's not my favorite era of The Who. But at this time, they were such a great band and they did some amazing singles.
Down your street, your crying is a well-known sound. Your street is very well known throughout your town. Your town is very famous for the little girl whose crying can be.
I have also received VCLT, and for those of you who don't know what that is, it's basically the vinyl community's way of giving records to each other. So I was sent the packages, like a total surprise. It came all the way from Canada, from Jay Ferguson. And Jay Ferguson, he plays in the band Sloan. And Sloan is one of my favorite 90s, alternative rock, power pop, indie rock kind of band. Jay always watching my channel, and I'm always watching his channel. And when we have mailed each other and so, I always say that they're so hard to find the Sloan albums here in Sweden. And I'm looking for basically all of them. And they never turn up here. So in this package, he sent me a couple of Sloan singles that I really wanted. So this was like Christmas for me. But the first single that he sent me was this Sloan single, Good in Everyone, taken from their album One Chord to Another in 1997. And this is just a brilliant track. One of the big hits, I guess, from that album. And the difference between this version and the version on the album is actually that on the album they have added live audience that opens up before the song starts. So you hear the audience cheering and everything. And then the song comes up. But this single version, they are don't bore us, get to the chorus. They're bang into the song and don't have this audience. So this single is perfect when you're DJing out on a bar or something. I do that from time to time. So this single I'm gonna bring, and I'm gonna play it because it's a killer track. And I must say that the bass playing on this song is just amazing, just fantastic song. And the B-side here is a song called Autobiography, and it's the demo version of that song. That song also is from One Chord to Another album. But this demo version is really interesting too, because I guess it's something that they recorded before they recorded the album, so it's more of a home recording. And I love the production, the sound of Sloan albums, but when you get these songs in a more home recorded vibe, more lo-fi vibe, I really enjoyed to hear that. So it sounds more like, you know, Guided by Voices or bands like that. So it's really interesting to hear the songs with that type of production. And know I'm a sucker for lo-fi recordings. But a killer single with one of the big songs, Good in Everyone. Another single that Jay sent me was this one, with the song Step On It Gene. And this was actually never released as a single. It was like a free giveaway in independent record stores that you got for free when you bought their new album Action Packed back in 2003. So this song, Step On It Gene, is a non-album track, and it's a really cool one as well. And the B-side here is called Dirty Nails, and it's a cover of a like small local Toronto-based indie band called Polydor, something like that. Small band, and they did a cover of it, so that was really cool. The labels look like this. So thank you, Jay, for sending these singles. I also got a third single, but I will probably show that in another video. So thank you, Jay, for sending these to me. I really appreciate it. Great additions to my Sloan collection that I am slowly building up. So that was really cool of you. Thanks. So now I have shown everything that I bought this year so far. My next video will be the Stockholm Record Fair report, where I show you what I bought in that video. And after that, I will probably continue with my folk videos. And I have some really cool albums that I wanted to show you there. Some big rarities as well. So stay tuned for that video coming up in a couple of weeks. Yeah, that was everything for today. And I hope you're doing well out there in the world. And please hit the like, subscribe, put down a comment if you want. That's always much appreciated. So until next time, be sure to buy records, listen to music, and buy more records, and be kind to each other. Peace.